Welcome to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten.
Hi, I'm Wendy. After I graduated with my master's in wellness management, I started my own company, T2 Coaching, health, fitness, and sport.
And I'm Kirsten, an athlete, vegan, life coach, and girl mom, running a business focused on helping others create a life they love.
We are here to explore all things wellness to help you become the person you've always wanted to be.
So if that's why you're here, open your ears and your mind as we tackle the world of wellness together. Hey, Wendy.
Hi, Kirsten. How are things?
Hi, good. Hi, friends out there. How is everybody?
They're all great because they're listening to our podcast.
Amazing, right? So how was your week, Wendy? You had a big race?
It was great. Yeah. So you had seen that I posted on Facebook. I ran a 50K again. I ran a 50K in November, and that had 10,000 feet of elevation gain and loss. And that was like my first big deal since my patella surgery event. And it went really well as far as like mental strength and nutrition and the whole taper and rest and kind of things we talk about on the podcast about how important it is for sleep and fueling kind of all came together that race day. And that was a 9.5 hour day. And so I switched gears and I said, I want to do a 50K. That's 5 hours, not quite so long, less elevation. And I had to totally like kind of switch gears with training. I prefer climbing mountains, but I wanted to get faster. So I switched gears with my training and I thought, let's see what happens. I did this 50K in 2020. I think I could go faster with the proper training and the proper fueling and proper mindset. That's kind of what I've been struggling with is the fueling when it comes to these 50Ks, 50 milers and longer events that I've been doing. And I just, I'm kind of like, I just hate that feeling that I still can get, but that feeling that you get, the last 10K of a marathon or an Ironman or a 50K or anything is just been really hard. More like physically and then mentally I get all flustered and frustrated.
You're like, I want to be done.
I want to be done. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? And so I didn't want that feeling. And so, it's interesting because back in November when I did a 50K, I felt great. Training went awesome. But then when I start my taper, I'm kind of like, I'm done. Like, I feel like I'm ready to do this. Why do I have to do it? I don't really want to do it, but I trained for it. So I feel like I can. Why do I have to do it? Kind of felt this way for this one too. Like, the last week and a half, 2 weeks, I'm like, oh, I trained really well. I feel like I'm ready to go under 5 hours. That was my goal. Why do I have to do it? and that's my struggle is not that it's a struggle, but my challenge is, I love the training and I love the preparation and I love doing a lot of different events because it involves a lot of variety of training, whether it's single sport or multi-sport. But when it comes to competing, I could leave it. Why do I really have to do it? And I've been like that my whole life, even as an age group swimmer. I like the training. I love the competition, like the training type of competition. But when it came to stepping up on the blocks, I just really didn't like it. And so I'm finding out, I didn't really notice that when I started triathlon, but I noticed it mainly for like the Ironmans. And, I don't know if it's like, I have this pressure that I put on myself. No one else is putting it on me that I'm like, I set this goal. I want to break 5 hours, but oh my God, what if I don't do it? Was it a waste of time?
Right.
So, I show up to this event. It was rainy, it was cloudy, and I just start running and I'm kind of like, all right, here we go. It's going to be a long day. Do I really want to run for 5 hours? Like I know I can, but do I really want to today? Well, it's 2 half marathon loops. You can kind of get out of it. You can do a half marathon and just say, call it a day. Who cares? No one cares. No one knows. But then I'm like, no, this is the reason I'm doing it. I want to break 5 hours. So I really had to focus on my goal and my why and just remind myself, just start the second loop and again, see what happens. And I felt amazing the second loop. I'm like, oh, well, you feel like you can go harder and stronger. You're not dying yet. Just, everything's going well. Nutrition's going well. You paced it well. Just keep going. I think you're going to break 5 hours. So that kind of got me excited and that really motivated me, especially the last 10 miles when things were starting to get tough. And then I ended up finishing in 4:45. Nice. And it was kind of like, oh, wow, I did much better than I anticipated. And it was just a huge wellness win because, you know, when you're racing and training as much as we do most of our lives, it carries over into all aspects of our lives, how we end up finishing, especially when you achieve the goal that you set out to achieve. And so it was just really happy that I was able to achieve that. You know, that's my physical win. That's my competitive win for the week. And then my non-competitive win for the week is I finished another book. So we're middle of February and I finished 4 books. They're all been over 300 pages. So that's a win for me because I've never been a big reader. And so I'm treating myself to now a book on tape. My 5th book is going to be a book on tape. I know it would be a quick read, but I'm like, you know what? I still want to get my reading in, but this time, number 5, I'm just going to do a book on tape.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing so well.
I love it. I still call them books on tape too, even though they're not on tape.
Or audiobooks.
I know. Because I listen to all my books on tape, all on audiobooks. So
Yeah, it's an audiobook, not a book on tape.
Because
book on tape seems so natural to say, but audiobook.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, I do it for a time thing. I'm in the car a lot. I'm training a lot. It's easy for me to get through books when I'm listening to them.
Yeah. So I decided, you know, based on this week and the wellness win, I'm like, you know, I think I want to achieve a wellness win for my sport and a wellness win for like my business or my personal life, because that's, you know, it's all about personal life, business, and sport for me right now, and family. And there's always a family win.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I always, whenever I'm thinking of what my wellness win is, it's easy, I think, for us, since we do compete and we are very physical, to think of something physical, because we're like, oh, wellness win, I trained well, or I did this or whatever. But I always try to think about something in another area of life, because that's more of a challenge for me to come up with some things. And for you guys out there, like, I mean, I feel like most of the people that know either me or Wendy or both of us, you probably do some sort of physical thing. But if not, if there's somebody out there listening and you're like, I don't work out, then I want you to still have some ideas of what you could use for your wellness wins of the week. And we do want to hear what your wellness wins are. If you guys ever want to share them, we want to hear them. And if you share them with other people, then they're going to think of something in their life that was a wellness win. So like one thing I do is I have on one of my Facebook pages, I list gratitude every single day. I try. Sometimes I miss a day or two here and there, but in general, I think I've been doing it now for 9 years. And right now I'm working up to 3,000 days, and I'm at like 2,900 and something. And I keep track of the days. And if somebody just hops on my page and they see it for the first time, they're like, oh, what's the significance of whatever number I'm working toward? And I started off, it was a November, 9 years ago. It was a 30-day gratitude challenge for November for Thanksgiving. And when I hit the 30 days, I was like, I'm going to keep going, because I practice gratitude in my life anyway, but I also like to keep track. I also like streaks. I also like challenges. So after the 30 days, I went to 100 days. I just was like, 100's a nice round number. And then I got to 100 and I was like, ooh, maybe I'll do 200. And then I got to 200. Then I'm like, I'm going to go for a year, 365 days of gratitude. When I got to the year, I was like, maybe I'll do 2 years. And when I got to 2 years, I did 3, or I think I either went to 3 years or right to like 1,000, because I was like a round number, 1,000 days of gratitude. So, I've just been, whenever I hit my goal number, I just extend the number to something higher. And so when people are like, oh, what's the significance of 3,000 days? I'm like, it's just what came up after. I think the last one was, I don't know, 2,600, whatever it was. That was like, I think it was like 7 or 8 years. And then I added a year. So anyway, so yeah, I like when I share my gratitude and tell people like, I'm keeping track of my gratitude, then that reminds other people, hey, what am I grateful for? Oh, maybe I'll keep track of gratitude. So,
yeah. Oh, excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so my wellness win is kind of embarrassing. But I was thinking about something that's like a big deal for me. And so about, like maybe 3 weeks ago, or maybe it was a month. No, it's probably 3 weeks ago. I started playing a game on my phone, and I'd never played games on my phone before. Like every once in a while I'd play solitaire, but I get too easily like sucked in and addicted, and then I stay up too late. So I always delete it. So I started playing Monopoly Go, and I was like, oh, this is so cheesy. And then I started like getting really into it. And then I started like noticing things in the game that kind of could like they're kind of life lessons too. And so I was kind of comparing like Monopoly Go to my life, and that was kind of funny and kind of fun. And then I just started really enjoying it. And one of the things that I like that I noticed that I know some of you guys out there might play games on your phone. You have to touch your phone a lot. And like, so I'm like tapping my phone, and it's somehow, and I don't know the psychology behind it because I'm not a psychologist, but it relaxes me a lot to like just sit and tap my phone. So if I'm feeling really anxious about something, I can like pull out my phone and play for like 5 minutes, and like focusing on that and tapping my phone has helped me a lot with anxiety. So that was just an added bonus.
Mm-hmm.
But I also noticed I'm really scrappy. And if I run out of dice, because you have to have dice in order to roll to move. It's like the game Monopoly. If I run out of dice, then I like go through all these different options. Like, where can I find more dice? And I've found like websites that offer like 25 free dice a day. So I have all these links saved. So if I run out of dice, I'm like, where do I look for new dice? And sometimes they have games you can play. And then they also have stickers that you can trade with other people. And if you fill an album of stickers, you get all these rewards. So then I started like trading stickers, and I ended up connecting with an old friend that I went on a student exchange with. In high school, we went to Australia. I went on a 6-month student exchange to Australia, and she was one of the girls on the exchange with me. And we've reconnected, and we like trade stickers, and they do partner events where you hook up with other people and try to like meet these goals. And like we partnered in the last event, and it was just it's been a really good experience. But the reason it's a wellness win is because typically when I do things that are time wasters, I get really mad at myself.
Uh-huh.
Like, this isn't like getting me ahead in life as far as like my businesses or my fitness, or although I have gotten through a couple runs, like the last mile of a run that I just did not want to run anymore. And I was sick of music, sick of my audiobook. And I'm like, I'm just going to play Monopoly Go. And it like gets me through my run. Don't try it at home if you're not used to running on the treadmill while playing a game on your phone. So it has gotten me through some life things, but the reason it's a wellness win is because I haven't felt guilty if I'm not productive because I spent 30 minutes playing the game, which is huge for me. Because normally if I am not productive all the time, even if it's like petting my dog, like that's productive because I'm loving on my dog. But if I'm doing something that's not productive, reaching me toward my goals in life, I typically get really mad at myself if I spend too much time doing it, and I haven't. So I've allowed myself to have this time where I just play this game.
That's awesome.
And
Because that just reminded me, like just yesterday, I was really tired. It was like mid-morning. When I'm tired and I'm trying to get something done, it's wasteful. It's wasteful because I don't get anything done. I found myself scrolling. I never feel like I'm scrolling. If I'm scrolling, it's usually on purpose. I'm looking for an idea. I'm answering an athlete's question. I'm looking for an answer, blah, blah, blah. But I literally was scrolling, and I'm like, all right, it's time to like, it lasted a couple minutes, and I recognized it. I'm like, let's just shut everything down. Let's close my eyes for 10 minutes and let's get refreshed. And that actually helped me. So as we are talking about these topics on the podcast, it's reminding me of certain things that we've talked about.
Right.
Was regarding stress management. Let me just share one more thing about stress management. I got this email, really kind of nasty email from a race organization that I was going to use for my training camp in Kona registration. I decided not to use the platform. And I told my contact person that I wasn't going to use the platform. End of story. I never looked at the platform again. Well, apparently my event was still being published on their platform. And I'm like, well, they reached out to me. They're like, what's going on? You know, is this a scam? You're using our platform to register, or you're using our platform to advertise. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not. I mean, I didn't get enough participants. I had to cancel. So basically, if I was really intending to use your platform to advertise, shouldn't I have gotten more people?
Right.
But so
Advertisement
they were
didn't work.
actually, it was a really kind of nasty accusational thing. And I replied once. She replied back with even more nastiness.
There you
And I
go.
was about to reply again. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
This is not going to go anywhere. I didn't do anything wrong. Why am I defending myself with something that I didn't do? Basically, it seems like they should have recognized I wasn't using their platform for registration, and they should have taken my stuff down.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was a huge wellness win for me. Speaking of, you know, just not overreacting and not keeping people in your life that causes unneeded stress and anxiety. And
Yeah.
I immediately deleted the emails. I said, I'm done with this.
Right.
That was a huge step because normally I would have reacted because I just would have needed to vent about something. But I didn't. I said, you know what, Kirsten and I have talked about this on our podcast. I'm not going to go that direction.
Yeah. Yeah. That's huge. That's a huge wellness win. And every conflict, there's a way to end it if it's not going. If it's something you're working on resolving with someone that's really important to you, that's something different. But if it's something like this and there's a conflict that's not going to go anywhere, the way you end it is to stop participating in it.
Right. And again, I apologize. I apologize for any confusion on my part. And, you know, like it was like, but she kept coming at me, you know, these daggers, and it, you know, like, yeah, step away, don't participate. Exactly. Good advice.
Yeah. So that actually, everything we've talked about leading up to this through our wellness wins kind of leads up to our topic today. And actually, everything we've talked about, I think this is our 10th podcast. I should have looked so that we could celebrate.
Oh, nice.
99% sure this is our 10th episode.
I like anniversaries. I like 10. Speaking of 10, let me go, because I thought of 10 when you said 100. I have another podcast that I listen to, and the host of the podcast was talking about how the number 7 is her favorite number. And that the following week, I quickly realized, you know what, I think 10 is my favorite number, because I like to do 10 of something. Like if I'm training at the track, I want to do 10 200s, 10 400s, 10 800s. I don't want to do 6 or 8. I want to do 10. So if I want to do 10, depending on my fitness, I'll either do 200s, 400s, or 800s.
Right.
I like to do, and I don't do this, I've only done it actually once. I like to do Kennesaw Mountain. It's 1.5 miles up and 1.5 miles down 1 year. And again, I'll talk about this as we talk about the topic of our podcast. I did 10 repeats. It was like I built up to doing 10 repeats. Another year, I did 10 repeats on my bike. So it made me realize I like the number 10. And I like, you know, I really wanted to do something for my 10-year anniversary since my first ultra. I wanted to go back and do the same ultra for my 10-year anniversary. I couldn't because I broke my knee that year. But there's something about 10 that's very magical for me.
Well, then this is a magical day for us.
Love it. It's perfect. It's perfect to be 10 because of our topic.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just actually celebrated in January 1st, I celebrated my 10 years of being vegan. And I've been getting this tattoo that I've had 4 sessions. I have 1 session left, and it's in 2 weeks. And then I will show you guys all on the podcast.
That's great.
It's like, yeah, it's been a little longer than I wanted, because she had a death in the family 1 week, and had to go out of town, and then she was sick 1 week. And then with me having my daughter every other weekend, like it's been hard for us to get it done. So it's in 2 weeks will be the final. And then I'll have my 10-year anniversary tattoo.
Yeah. And I'm really proud of you for going through this process with the tattoo, because I know you have to stay out of the water, and I know how much swimming means to you. And the fact that you're doing this, knowing that you can't swim for a while, is pretty awesome.
Well, and I thought it'd be done in January. Mm-hmm. And my first race is until May, and I'm a decent enough swimmer that I want, I'll get in and swim hard the last couple months. But yeah, I was like, I thought it'd be done in January and then I could start swimming February 1st. And I was like, it's still going. It's still going. So thank you for acknowledging that. So with that being said, our topic today is on self-love, self-care, why it's so important, why it's not selfish, why we all need to be taking better care of ourselves, loving ourselves more, doing things to celebrate ourselves more. And we're kind of going to talk about this around something that Wendy and I both have in common that we both have been doing for years. Not even like, we've done a lot of things together, like our treadmill marathon and our track marathon and stuff like that. But this is something we didn't get together and we weren't like, oh, let's start doing this. We just both have always done this. And that is celebrating ourselves like crazy on our birthday / birth week / birth month. So we both celebrate ourselves all day long, half birthday, quarter birthday, I just celebrated my 1/4 birthday 2 weeks ago. So yeah, we're going to talk about the importance of self-love, self-care, and what you can do to celebrate yourself. And one of the things we were talking about a couple days ago, Wendy and I was that we both know people who, when it's their birthday, we're like, oh, happy birthday. Or what are you doing to celebrate your birthday? And they're like, oh, I don't really celebrate my birthday. I don't even like my birthday. And I was saying how that makes me sad because our birthday is really our only day that, I mean, we can celebrate ourselves every day, but our birthday is the day that celebrates our birth. So it celebrates the fact that we are alive on this earth and we are living and we are here. And for me, and I know the same for Wendy, and we'll go into some details, it's a cause for celebration. And so we want to talk about some of our birthday celebrations to give you guys some ideas of maybe some ways you can start celebrating yourself. And then also give you guys some just simple things that you can start to do to take care of yourself, because you are the only person that you are going to be with from the day you're born to the day you die. The only one. Nobody else is with you for your entire life's journey other than yourself. And so loving yourself and taking care of yourself and honoring yourself and celebrating yourself, to me, is very, very, very valuable. And there's been a lot of research that supports how important self-love and self-care is.
You got to like take care of yourself to be able to take care of other people. I'm sure we've all heard that. And so when you're taking care of your mental, physical, emotional well-being, you're just going to be a happier person and a more productive person to take care of other people. And that's a big reason it's so important. So going into like the birthday kind of birth year, birth week, I kind of like to say birth month. It just gives me more time to do everything that I like to do in a month. I started it when I learned it from my swim coach. So my year-round swim coach was also my high school swim coach. He started coaching me in high school, and he always did a birthday swim. And his birthday swim consisted of the number of years he was in hundreds. As he got older, he would do 50s. So if he turned 40, he would do 40 100s. If he turned 50, he would do 50 100s or 50 50s. But it was mostly hundreds. And that's how kind of I was introduced to this. I was also introduced to what I do with my youth swimmers now is called a birthday swim, where they swim 50 yards, 50 meters, and everyone's pushing a kickboard and splashing them and trying to produce as many waves as possible. That's a fun way to introduce, the kids to their a birthday workout, birthday swim. And I always honor my kids with treats, cookies, muffins, cakes, whatever they like. And so when people would always be like, well, what do you want? What do you want for your birthday? What do you want to do for your birthday? I was always like, I want to do what I want to do, meaning just let me have my day with no interruptions, no schedule. I don't have to take care of anyone else but myself. And it always had to do with my sport, time to train. And so my first birthday workout on my birthday, which is coming up in a few days, it's in the month of March, it was a 40-mile run. And so I was training for an ultra that year. And so I wanted to run 40 miles, and I had this big loop mapped out in Fort Collins. Unfortunately, we had a big blizzard type snowstorm prediction. I woke up that morning and I ended up going to the health club. The snow never came, but it was pretty poor conditions anyways. And I ended up doing I ran 8 miles, and then I did 8 miles on the treadmill until I completed 40 miles. And just the feeling of accomplishment, again, of accomplishing that goal on my birthday to celebrate me. And then I got a certain cake I wanted. It's usually a vegan carrot cake. I got to take a nap, and that was oh my God, how cool that I just did my very first official birthday workout. I'm going to do this every year. And just through me and Kirsten doing it, it's gotten others involved in doing the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. A handful of my clients, I mean, they just kind of, you do what the people around you do. And they just saw me always doing things for my birthday. And then they're like, oh, it's my birthday workout. And it's, I've had several of my athletes that I coach in the past few years. Since we're getting older, it's no longer fit 42 miles. It's turned into 42K, which is a lot more manageable. So yeah, for 2 years or a year and a half ago, I turned 51. 2 years ago, I turned 51, and I did 51K on the treadmill because it's cold here in November. Although I have had some birthdays where I've biked outside, so you never know in Colorado. But 51K on the treadmill was really fun because I don't have a goal. I block out like Wendy. I block out all day. So I think it took me 6 hours. And one of my friends came and she brought me a donut, a vegan donut from Voodoo. And I'm on the treadmill running and I'm eating my donut. And I'm look at me. I can do whatever I want. It's my birthday. So it is. It's really, it's a good excuse to do whatever you want.
Because again, people and people are going to support you because it's your day. It's your birthday. They want to give you something. And then I like the gift of time. So some other things, speaking of not always doing a certain mileage, when I turned 41, I have a blog that I did. When I turned 41, I did during my birth month, I did 31 days of gratitude. So every day of that month, I posted a gratitude challenge. And then I posted 41 things that I was grateful for every day. So that was just a different type of challenge. It wasn't physical, but it was mental. And it was really trying to find 41 things that you were grateful for that day for 31 days.
Yeah.
At age 42, I ended up doing 42. I think that year I did 42:50 swim, 4.2 mile run, 42 minutes of biking, 42 repetitions because I was really into weight training that year. I did 42 repetitions of a full body circuit. So I did I did a bunch of activities that had to do with the number 42 that year. And actually I didn't do 42:50s. I did 42 100s with the youth swim team I was coaching. I was coaching high school swim team. At age 43, I was training for the Boston Marathon. I did 42 kilometers on the Spring Creek Pooter Trail in Fort Collins. At 44, now I'm living in Georgia, there happened to be a 100-mile charity ride on my birthday. So I did the 100-mile charity ride plus 4.4 miles of running and 44 lengths of swimming. So that was, again, just a day at the health club. And I got to keep going with this. In 2018, I was training for Ironman Chattanooga. So I did 45 100 swim. I did 45 miles on my trainer on my bike, and I ran 4.5 miles. 2019, I did 46. I was 46. I did 46-minute bike, 4.6 mile run, 46:50s. At age 47, I was again going back to training for ultras. I did 47 1-minute hill repeats, and that's kind of when we were in COVID, so things were closed. And so I just had a hill right outside my door that I did 41 1-minute hill repeats. At age 48, I swam 48 lengths, biked 48 miles, ran 48 minutes. At age 49, again, I was training for a big ultra, 74 miles, and I had a lot of elevation gain. So that's the year I did 10 Kennesaw Mountain repeats to get in 4,900 feet of elevation gain. So as you see, all my birthdays had to do with kind of what I was training for that year, what kind of physical challenge I would do that year. So it's kind of fun reading this blog that I wrote about everything I did. At age 50, before I broke my knee, I went to this hill and I did 50,000 feet or 5,000 feet of elevation gain. This was 2 days before my birthday. And then the day of my birthday, I actually ran a marathon because, again, I was training for ultras that year. So I kind of had those 2 birthday workouts. A little bit tired, broke my knee a week later, but I got those 2 big workouts in.
Got your birthday workout in.
Yeah, and then at age 51, and again, at age 50, I ended up doing some weight. I don't remember what I did, but I ended up going to the weight room and I did like probably 50 burpees, 50 assisted pull-ups, 50 lunges or something like that. So it was a really long day. 51, I was injured. Don't even remember. I think I took it. Oh no, at age 51 is when I did 10 Kennesaw Mountain repeats on my bike because I wasn't running that much yet, but I was biking. And so I set my goal to be able to do 10 Kennesaw Mountain repeats on my bike. And I was ecstatic because that's when I knew I was really feeling like my leg was getting stronger and I was recovered. And on my birthday that year, because I did the repeats on a Friday, my birthday was on a Saturday, I rested. And my actual birthday, I took a day off training and I rested, if you can believe that.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to do different things, different challenges for yourself.
Yeah. So for my 50th birthday, I did something really, I did something a little bit different, but it was very interesting for me. And what I did was 50 days before my 50th birthday, I was born in 1972. So I looked up in 1972, like what was popular, like the style that was popular, the music that was popular, the movies that were the biggest hits at the box office. And then I put all this on my Facebook page. I put a list of like all this stuff in 1972. And then like some things I remember about that year. Like it snowed in Georgia. I lived in Georgia in 1972 where I was born, and it snowed that year. And that was a big crazy thing. I obviously don't remember it. I was like 2 months old, but I've seen pictures of it and I remember it was a thing. So then the next day I did 1973. And then the next day I did 1974.
Oh, that's cool.
And so it was cool because when people would post on their like, especially people who are older, who remembered 1974 differently, because I was only 2. And I was like, oh, I lived in this state. I went to this school. Blah, blah, blah. They would be like, oh, I remember bell bottoms. Like if I posted something about the style or a movie and someone's like, oh, I saw that movie at the theater. So it was really neat. Like people could they could take their own trip down memory lane. So each day I did a new year so that when I got to my actual birthday, it was this year, like that year.
Yeah.
And then I also put some highlights of things that were really big about my life, like my first Ironman when I qualified for Hawaii. I did a student exchange in Australia. I ran my 7 marathons in 7 days. That's still one of my like biggest accomplishments I've ever done. But I thought about these big milestones in my life. I had a baby. I had gotten married before I got divorced, like big things that happened in my life. So it was kind of neat to just almost reminisce about my life, but also see kind of what was out in the world at that time that was really popular or a big deal. So that was kind of just something different and something fun that I did for my 50th.
Yeah. Something else, looking at myself right now, reminded me every year, it's usually my birth week. I like to try to do a lot of things the birth week. Even though I kind of celebrate all month, I do many of the things that first week. And one thing I always do is I get my hair cut. The last time I got my hair cut was March 7th of 2024. So I'm going a full year without having my hair done at all. Sometimes I get my hair done twice a year. Like if I'm doing a big event in like October, I'll get my hair done before that in like September or October, but I haven't been inspired. I'm usually inspired by, I want to just get it all cut off, or I just want to get a different color or whatever. I haven't really been inspired yet to really like acknowledge, like really like being like, oh my God, I can't believe this time I've actually gone the whole year. But I'll definitely treat myself to getting a new hairdo. And I'll probably I'll do something with my mom. I'll get a mani and a pedi during my birth month. Not sure what day. So I do some stuff like that as well. I kind of pamper myself in a different way besides training. But definitely the birthday is the most special day of the most. and again, I call it a special day. It's not a selfish day. It's my birthday. You ask what I want. I want the whole day with nothing to do but things I feel like doing that day. And you know, that doesn't happen every day.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm a coach. I like to help athletes. I like to take care of others in a big way. That makes me feel really good. But on my birthday, I want to just, no one has to take care of me. Just let me take care of myself.
Right. A couple other things that I did for my 51st birthday, because what I did was each month I did something that had to do with 51. And I would say 75% of them were exercise related, like in my classes, like I would teach, I'm like, okay, today we're going to do 51 squats for my birthday month. And so everyone gets to benefit from my birthday month, or like 51 crunches or 51 lunges or something like that. So most of my things were physical. Of course, a lot of mine were swimming, biking, running. Like if I had time, I would do a 5100. If I didn't have time, I might do like 51 50s or 51 25s. If I didn't have time to bike very long, sometimes I just biked 51 minutes, and then I would like take a picture of the time. And so it's 51 everywhere. But about 25% of the things weren't exercise related. A couple of the days I did like toss 51 things, like get rid of 51 things from my house, or I did the 51 days of gratitude, or 51 people I love. I made a list of 51 people I love.
I love that.
One day I texted 51 people that like thinking of you. I donated $51 to a cause that I donate to, this pig rescue. So it's like, there's other things you could do if you're like, yeah, I don't consider working out much of a party. There's lots of things you could do in all areas of life. If you like to give, there's lots of ways to give. 51 minutes of your time. You could donate 51 minutes of your time to somebody. You can, if you're working on saving money, you can save $51 a day for the whole month. Oh my gosh, you would have like a lot of money saved. You would have over $1,000 saved. Or if you're paying off your credit card, like I'm going to pay $51 toward my credit card once a week. So, I mean, think of the areas in your life that are important to you and valuable to you, and then decide what you want to do in those areas. It doesn't have to be physical. That's just something that Wendy and I hold value in, is our physical fitness. And I'm like, she is, if someone's like, so Mother's Day for me, now that I'm a mother, is another day that I'm like, maybe I should want to spend it with my daughter because it's Mother's Day, but to me, that's celebrating me as a mother. And my choice is being by myself all day and doing some long, Wendy and I used to do a step mill
marathon.
So we used to do, this was before I was even a mom. We just pick holidays and like did challenges. So Mother's Day, we did a step mill marathon. If you guys don't know what a step mill is, it's a thing that looks like an escalator.
Revolving,
it looks like,
yeah, I call it a revolving
stair
treadmill or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I call it a step mill, and because it's like a treadmill because it keeps going, but you step. And Wendy and I did that for like 4 to 5 hours because that was our step mill marathon. And then it was really cool because the first year that I had Cora, I wanted to still do the step mill marathon because I was actually a mother. But she wasn't even a year old. And I remember I was still breastfeeding, and my mom offered to take Cora for that day so I could do the step mill marathon. And I just stopped twice and pump. And I'm like, talk about a Mother's Day marathon. Like, I'm pumping. I'm like rushed trying to get it done because I had to go pick up my baby now that I'm a mom. So yeah, that was fun too.
Well, and again, I think it might have been the last time I recall doing a step mill marathon was in 2019 or 2020. It was 2019 when all the health clubs were still closed.
That was 2020. We did it outside.
We did it outside, and I went to, for those who know Georgia, I went to Amicalola State Park, and I started at like 7 or 7:30 in the morning, and I did 20 repeats of 600 stairs. My goal was 10, but I'm like, I don't even know I think 10 takes me around 2.5 hours. So I ended
Yeah,
up
you're
doing
like, I
20
got to do more than
repeats,
that.
and it would boggled my mind because I looked back at my training log and I saw, oh my God, I did 20 of these for my Mother's Day marathon. I think I did it separately. Like I did 10. We stayed at the lodge that day, and then I did 10 more later. I didn't do 20 in a row, but 20 for the day. It was pretty epic. Was my step mill marathon. And I'm like, this is the best step mill marathon
Yeah.
I've ever done in my life because it was outside and it was steps.
Yeah.
Really,
So
really challenging.
that's what I did. So in 2020, and the reason I remember too, because everything was closed and I still wanted to do it. And my mom lives in her little subdevelopment. There's some steps that come down to like their little amphitheater. And I would say there's 20 steps on each side. It's like round. It comes up and down the other side. There's like 20 there. But then in front of the amphitheater, there's like 8 or 10. And it goes all around the amphitheater. So I dropped my daughter off at my mom's. I went and I ran, and it was only like 20 or 30 steps at a time. And I ran it for 4 hours. Same thing, up and down, just up and down. And I
Yeah.
was just listening to podcasts and listening,
Yeah.
just like going up and down, up and down. And then after 2 hours, I went and checked on Cora, told my mom I'm halfway done. I think I got something to drink, went to the bathroom because it's like a block from her house.
Yep.
And then I just ran up and down these steps for so long. But yeah, it was really fun. That's our idea of fun.
And like everything we talked about, it's free. It's our
Yeah,
training. It's out in nature. It doesn't have to be at a facility or anywhere. We just go do whatever we want to do based on, again, it's usually the physical part of it is usually based on what I'm training for. That year in 2020, I was actually training for a 50-mile race, then ended up getting canceled. But I had the birth or the Mother's Day purpose of doing it, but I had more of a purpose. I'm like, this is actually getting me ready for my race that was canceled. So
right.
I felt like, okay, the race is canceled. I'm fit. Let's see if I can do this. And I'm just motivated by challenges, and treating yourself isn't selfish. I
Right.
think doing self-care, I think people need to recognize that it's not a selfish thing to do. It just makes you, again, a better partner, better friend, better employee,
Parent.
better parent. Whatever the roles in life you play, it's important to take care of yourself.
Right.
And on that note, I also want to say that it reminds me, I used to hear, training for an endurance event like an Ironman, half Ironman is a selfish thing to do. And I think done correctly, you're not selfish. I think it could be a selfish thing to do if you're ignoring your friends and family and coworkers and you're opting to train instead of taking care of them. It can be a selfish thing, but it doesn't have to be. And I don't think when you're training for an event, whatever the event is for you, is a sacrifice. I don't think you're sacrificing anything. Again, done correctly, anything you're training for, you shouldn't be if you're sacrificing anything for training, you're not doing it correctly.
Right.
So
And
that word sacrifice and selfish to me kind of both popped into my head
right.
about, taking care of yourself physically is not a sacrifice and it shouldn't be selfish done correctly.
Right. And Wendy and I have talked about, I think we've talked about this in every single episode, and how to make this work and how to work your training and all these things you want to do around the rest of your life for longevity of the sport, for longevity of your relationships. So we both value this a lot, is making this training, which includes these celebrations, these birthday celebrations, at part of our life, and work it around the important things in our life, not instead of.
Right. And one thing I also wanted to mention is, we're in our 50s. Lots of people maybe it used to be they dreaded being 40. It was a big milestone. Turning 50, oh my God, I'm 50 years old. They kind of dread it. And to me, I'm like, oh, cool, I'm 50. What's going to happen in my 50s? I'm in a new
Right.
age group. I'm starting my plateau/decline because that's what happens. We're human. We're going to start a plateau decline in our sport at some point in our life. Let's delay it as much as possible. Again, age 50, I wanted to be the fittest in my life, which meant being fast and going long and being strong. And it ended up, I was the most unfit of my life because I broke my knee. Whatever. I got over it.
Right. And you're coming back.
And I'm coming back. It's not a big deal. It's just a number.
Right. Well, and one thing that I think is really important, that I've realized, and it's all around this self-love and self-care, is I'm in my second half of my life. Like you said, we're declining. We might live as long as we've been alive, but we might not.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the second half of my life. I'm going to look at what is most important to me. So things that might have bothered me in the past aren't a big deal, because in my grand scheme of my life, it's not important anymore. So the things I value now are the reason I value them is because I am in the second half of my life. So if I don't know, if I hate one of my jobs, I'm going to quit, because I'm not, I don't want to waste any of the precious time that I have left. And I think that caring about ourselves and loving ourselves and doing the things to take care of ourselves, that doesn't have to be a physical thing. Like Wendy and I always talk about, we're so physical. It doesn't have to be. It can be taking naps. It can be taking a shower. It can be getting your hair done, your nails done, playing your stupid phone game. Like anything that makes you either feel joy or calm or important or significant or anything is so valuable in the realm of self-love and self-care. And I feel like the more you love, those are two separate things, self-love and self-care, but they go hand in hand. And I feel like the more you love yourself, the more you're willing to take care of yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. And I did look up some of the actual research on people who take care of themselves and people who love themselves and honor themselves and believe that they're worthy. They do have better physical health. They do have better mental and emotional health. They do live longer. You know, part of the reason we're doing this podcast, wellness as a whole, to me, is extending your life and your good living years. So to be well in the whole body, physical, mental, emotional, is going to help me live longer and live a longer, happier, more fulfilling life. And so any of these taking care of ourselves things, that's what they do, is they help us live longer. And so it's more necessary. Like Wendy said, selfish isn't a bad word. And sometimes I say selfish and people think I mean it in a negative way. And I actually don't. I'm really proud of taking care of myself, because I'm a much better mother, a much better friend, and a coach to my athletes that I coach in the pool, that I coach online, as a personal trainer. If I'm exhausted and I'm not taking care of myself and I'm unhappy, I promise I would not be able to give as much as I give to the people around me. So anything else you can think of, Wendy?
You know, we're talking about birthdays. You don't have to wait till your birthday to do
Yes.
self-care. You can do
Yeah.
it anytime. Like we started the podcast about our wellness wins for the week. Had nothing to do with things that we celebrate on our birthday, but taking care of yourself, saying no to something that you
I
don't
was
want to
just going
do.
to say that setting boundaries is a huge way to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes it's often forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Is those boundaries and how much better off you're going to be by setting them with whatever boundary you need to set.
Right. Taking a detox from the media, like we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's a self-care thing for a lot of people, especially if you get really stressed or anxious or overwhelmed because of everything that's going on in the media.
Mm-hmm.
Eating healthy.
Yeah,
I know some
all the
people
things we keep talking
I
about.
swear people think it's a punishment to, like, oh, I drank too much last weekend, I'm gonna have to eat salads all week. It's actually like you're honoring your body and being selfish by eating amazingly healthy. So Wendy and I both drink Shakeology, and it costs like, I don't know, $120 a month. That's selfish, you know? And it, again, I think selfish is good, but spending all that money on our daily protein nutrition shake, but that's one of the ways that we honor ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
The supplements I drink, the people who filtered water. If you drink filtered water, that's self-care. So it's there. I mean, there's lots of little ways that you could do this, and they don't have to cost money, or they could cost a little money. Like last night I didn't have my daughter, and I did my leg compression things, which did cost money at one point. They've well paid for themselves by now. And then I lit a candle, and I was just kind of like hanging out, snuggling with the dogs, by candlelight, playing my game.
That's great.
And the game's free, by the way, if you if you want a free way to. But like watching a guilty pleasure show, like, so people are like, oh, I can't spend my time watching Grey's Anatomy or The Voice, or you know, something like that. But those are ways that you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Can you think of any others that might be helpful?
I mean, I think that's, again, going back to the last 9 episodes of our podcast.
Exactly.
This is kind of the stuff we always talk about.
Yeah. They all culminate in taking care of yourself. Awesome. Do you have a listener question?
Yeah, because I was just looking it up. Do you have yours ready?
I have mine ready.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, almost ready. I just have to open it. But oh my gosh, I'm like, I have it ready and then I don't. Okay. It's on my phone. That's why. I started taking a new supplement powder and now my pee is neon yellow / green. What is the cause of this? And should I keep taking the supplement? So raise your hand if you've ever taken a new supplement and your pee was neon. That's exact. I've done that before too. So typically there's a few things. What
supplement was it? Did they say what supplement it was?
No. They just said they started taking new supplement. And from what I remember about, doing nutrition stuff is vitamin B, especially like riboflavin, creates that. So if your new supplement has a ton of vitamin B, I think it's then, because I know it's vitamin B, and if your body doesn't use a part of your supplement, so like if you take a powder, this person said a supplement powder, it has 100 different supplements. Our Shakeology has 72 different ingredients. Most of those powders are a combination of vitamins, minerals, and then some other superfoods and stuff, usually plant sourced. And so if your body doesn't need a certain nutrient, if it's not lacking that nutrient, you're most likely just going to pee it out.
Right. So my first thing is, if it's that color, you're peeing out something that you're not absorbing.
Yeah. That either you don't need it or your body's not absorbing it. Typically, if it's one of those like processed powders that's all together, the company, if it's a reputable company, has done a good job of combining everything so that it's readily available to your body. So it's more bioavailable so you can absorb it more. But if you don't need, like vitamin C, if you're like, I'm sick, I have to take 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C and your body doesn't use that, you just pee it out. So I would say it's not a cause for concern if it's not associated with any other symptoms. And I looked it up and that's exactly what it said. It said it's not associated with uncomfortableness, pain, anything else that's going on when you're peeing it out. It should just be a byproduct of a nutrient that you don't need or your body's not absorbing. But if you are concerned, go call your doctor.
Yeah, look at the ingredients. Show a registered dietitian. Show your doctor the ingredients, and they can help pinpoint what's going on. What is causing that color? Yeah,
but typically that color. And there's a lot of green supplements now, like green powders that have like spirulina and some other things. So if they have a lot of that, that could also be part of it. But if it's that bright neon green, that's been around for a long time. Even like when I was in college, because I got my minor in nutrition, we learned about our body absorbing vitamins and peeing them out, and that was always associated with vitamin B, that bright green color. So riboflavin is I think the one that causes that color. So just look at your supplement. Like, does it have 200% of the RDA? Then you probably don't need it.
Right.
So anything else you would add to that?
No, I think, supplements can have hidden ingredients. Not every supplement is wholesome. So it's just important to, number one, something we talked about in the past is, why are you taking this supplement? Is your body deficient in it?
Right.
Make sure you get that blood test before you really start training with certain supplements.
Right.
Again, I think in these Facebook groups that I'm in, a lot of training groups, people are always talking about, what supplements do you take to enhance recovery? And it's like, whoa, you're asking all these strangers, you're going to get 1,000 different answers.
Yeah.
Number one, what supplement are you interested in taking? Number two, why are you taking it? Do you know you need it? Number three, are you sleeping and eating first and foremost before you start looking at other things to enhance recovery? And that's super important, because again, things can be laced with something.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you're in the endurance sport taking supplements, you don't want to find out by getting tested in competition for doping that your creatine, which is something that's very beneficial,
and
was laced with something.
Yeah.
So it's just really important to be more knowledgeable in the supplemental area. And I think talking to a registered dietitian or your physician to find out if you need it is really important, if you haven't done so.
And you reminded me of one thing that I didn't even think of, because I do look at all the ingredients of my supplements to make sure there isn't anything artificial. But if yours has like artificial coloring or artificial flavoring or artificial sweetener or anything like that added to it, if it's a powder, that could be it as well.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that, because I always make sure I don't have any additives and stuff like that in mine. But if yours has artificial coloring, you could be peeing out color.
Yeah, definitely.
So did you find yours?
Yeah. So on that, I have another training question. So this athlete purchased a training plan that I sell on Training Peaks a month ago. They're training for their first 70.3. And they asked how, what's, again, this is something we've already talked about, but how do you manage fatigue exhaustion when you're training for two disciplines in a single day? They're doing a morning workout and an evening workout, like a pre-work workout, and after work, they're doing another training session. So first and foremost, if it's been a month, your body's still adapting to the training, and that fatigue that you're feeling now may go away into the second month as your body gets more adaptation to doing that type of training volume. So give it a little more time. Number two, it may not be the right training plan for you. It may be a little bit too advanced for you. So if that's all you're doing is working and training, and you don't have a family to, or doing really to take care of a family, or maybe a social life, and this is something you're really committed to, just give it more time. Number two, just look at the plan and think, is this appropriate for my current fitness level? Because if you're depending on your previous experience before you started the plan, if you haven't been doing anything and then you jump into doing 2 workouts most days of the week, your body, you might not be at that fitness level, and you might just need a little bit more adaptation time. Number three, talking about fueling, making sure you're fueling pre, during, and post to enhance recovery, making sure you're able to get some sleep. You don't want to be doing, 8 p.m. workouts and then trying to go to sleep. Sometimes doing those late night workouts may put you to sleep. Other times they may be keeping you awake.
Yeah, they keep me up all night.
And then you're waking up at 4 or 5 a.m. to get your first workout in the next morning. Doing an evening workout and then a morning workout, you're doing 2 workouts in a 12-hour period of time. And so, or maybe less, maybe 8-hour period of time. So you kind of want to look at a bunch of different things, but again, making sure you're prioritizing sleep, nutrition for recovery, making sure you're balancing hard days with easy days. Any of the plans that I created on Training Peaks, is that balance. You have a swim day, which I consider more of a recovery day because you're not really using your legs, followed by, maybe a harder run bike the next day, and then an easy day. You don't want to be putting a lot of hard sessions on back-to-back days, especially if you're a new athlete. That's going to cause excess fatigue. And just, we talk about this in the training plan, so maybe they haven't gotten to that part because they're only a month into it. Making sure you're okay with adapting the plan based on your fitness, based on your life schedule, and you're listening to your body. If your body and mind are telling you, I'm exhausted, take a day off. You're not going to get unfit from taking one day off. It's not going to ruin the plan. It's going to have it's going to have a positive impact on your training if you're exhausted, if you take a day off, versus if you try to push through it and try to do those 2 sessions that day when your body and mind is saying, I'm just too tired. It's okay. Just let it go and just continue on with the program as it was set up. And again, if you're still like confused and things aren't feeling right, reach out to me, reach out to another coach, professional who is going to understand it and be able to talk to you one-on-one for a consultation is going to be very helpful to get more information from you, the person asking the question, about what could be other factors that could be causing the excess fatigue.
Right. And I 100% agree with all of that, especially the listening to your body and making some adaptations on your own. So this morning I was going to do a 6-mile run. That was on my training plan. And I lifted really heavy on Monday, and today's Wednesday, and I was so sore waking up. And the thought of running sounded like the worst thing possible because I was already really sore and tight, and it just sounded miserable. And I didn't want to be miserable. So I got on the elliptical because it's non-impact. It's a lot less effort. It still moved my legs. And I got on the elliptical for an hour. And when I was done, my legs felt amazing. And I didn't miss a workout. I just adapted it to where I was today.
Right. And I think, again, a beginner doesn't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
It's just you kind of need permission to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I do have another question. I wanted to bring in 2 this week because I didn't have any last week. And this kind of has to do with training as well. They're looking for tips and plans on strength training while balancing swim, bike, and run training. We're looking, this is in a Facebook group. They're looking for free strength plan recommendations. So my thing about strength training, it's important to do. You should do it year round and phase it in and out of your training. If you're working on your base training, you should do, moderate reps in the weight room, base reps. When you're working on build, you should be doing maximum strength. When you're working on race prep and kind of getting into your taper, you should do, phase your strength training to less. So you phase in and out of your strength plan. It's important. Again, when I had another question from another person, similar note, who purchased a training plan on Training Peaks, they wanted more recommendations on what they should be doing for strength training. One reason I don't really detail a big strength training plan on a training plan, a generic training plan, when I'm not coaching the athlete, is because I don't know if the athlete, I don't know their experience with weights. I don't know if they're going to be doing body weight, cables, machines, dumbbells, a combination of it all. And it's important when you're starting a strength training program, no matter where you are in your physical swim, bike, and run training, that you start easy, that you possibly get a functional movement screening done so you know where your strengths and limiters are in the weight room. Make sure you meet with a personal trainer once or twice if you're going to be doing exercises in the weight room, to make sure you're executing your form correctly. It's really hard to advise someone with strength training when you're not with them doing the program with them. So it's just important when you are considering the strength movements into your swim, bike, and run plan that you do basic push, pull, squat, hinge, core mobility, and starting at a very moderate, light, low rep or higher reps, maybe 1 to 2 sets. Yeah. I always start athletes with body weight just to get something going. And then I'll advance them into more machines, dumbbells, barbells, depending on if they have access to that equipment. So again, another question I see frequently in this Facebook group, asking strangers for advice when we don't know their background. I think that there's a lot of misconceptions out there, and there's a lot of athletes who are misguided in social. Again, going back to the social media, the dangers of social media is getting this advice from non-professionals who don't know the right questions to ask the athlete.
Right. Yeah. So that's how I just finished up my 28 days functional February training, and it's all body weight exercises because it's an online course. And I make a video each day. We have an interactive group where they can ask me questions. And I, post the proper technique, all the modifications, if you're stronger, if you're weaker, but they're 100% body weight. And they're all exactly what you just said. All body weight, push, pull, hinge, core, mobility, agility, stability, balance, all that stuff. So I would 100% agree with starting there.
And this reminded me, one year during my birth month, I did a movement for, I think it was 42. I think I was 42 years old that year. I did like push-ups, 42 push-ups on March 1st. And then on March 2nd, I did 42 squats and 42 push-ups. And then on March 3rd, I did a 45-second plank, 42 squats, 42 push-ups. See where I'm going with this? I introduced a new exercise each day of my birth month, and I repeated the previous days. So by the end of 31 days, and I have this PDF document that I gave athletes 31 body weight movements that they can incorporate into their routine. It was again, another fun birth month challenge that I did, not only for me, but I did it to support other athletes who were unfamiliar with strength and how to incorporate it and how to balance it in their lives, in their daily lives.
Right. So what are you most excited about this week?
The start of my birth month, of course.
I know. Can't wait to hear about it.
What are you excited for?
I'm going on a road trip with my daughter. We're leaving tomorrow morning, and we are driving to Las Vegas for my dad's 75th birthday.
Oh, wow.
Speaking
Nice.
of birthdays. So we're going to celebrate my sister and my brother and all their kids. We're all meeting there. And my dad has never been with his 5 grandkids all together.
Oh,
so
that'll be nice.
Because now one lives in Idaho, one lives in Arizona, one lives in California, one lives up in the mountains here in Colorado, and then one lives here, and he lives in Florida. So he's seen them all over the years, but never all 5 together. So we're going to celebrate his birthday and road trip to Vegas. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. We're leaving first thing tomorrow morning.
That sounds amazing. Can't wait to hear about it.
I know. I can't wait to talk about it. If you guys have any questions, need anything, want us to talk about anything, share your wellness win, share your hopes and dreams and goals, share your birthday celebrations for sure. You can even tag us in social media and we'll do it with you. Yes. Like if you know in advance, because I've had my friends do this. They're like, oh, I'm doing 40 push-ups for my 40th birthday. Who wants to join me? Tag me, tag Wendy. We will join you.
Yes,
in
for
your
sure.
birthday workout.
For sure. It's so much fun with doing it with others.
I know. So much fun, even virtually.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, thanks for being here, you guys. We will see you next time. Make it a great day.
Make it a great day.
We'll get it. Just kidding. We won't. All right. See you guys later.
Bye,
Wendy. Thank you for listening to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten.
If you want to learn more about us or anything we talked about today, check out the links in our show notes.
We would love to know what you think of our podcast and what you want more of. So drop us a comment, send us a message, and help us out by leaving us a rating and a review.
And don't forget to let us know your wellness win for this week.
Thanks for listening.
Make it a great day.